ganar igualmente la eliminación. La Josh que va a recibir, se lleva uno, consigue el segundo, es el tercero. Y con Chino, King consigue el cuarto.
You just have to be expecting that, knowing what's on the other side, but they're having such a hard time dealing with what's in front of them.
Welcome back, everyone, to Day 3 of VCT Americas playoffs and, of course, our lower bracket matchup between Leviathan and Cloud9. I'm Golden Boy, and this is the closest that I will ever get to Plat Chat. I'm joined by Sideshow, Wyatt, as well as Brent. When are you going to invite me, Josh?
Never.
Ah, you suck.
Just straight up.
You absolutely suck. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on, though, because I think it's safe to say none of us thought that we were going to see Cloud9 in this position. It has honestly been a bit of a startling result here, Sideshow, and at the hand of evil geniuses, no doubt.
Yeah, EG came out with some great ideas in this game and came up to a very early lead. And Cloud9, it felt like they didn't know how to lose just yet.
Yeah.
Like when they started losing, their adaptations went into really weird positions. They individually, I think, had a bit of a crumble too.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it doesn't shock me.
What you're saying there, Josh, as well, though, like individually having a bit of a crumble, that could be applied to almost every team that we have in our lower bracket.
But here's the thing, though. But think about C9 for a minute. This is a team that's been riding a high all season long, and then they come to the playoffs, and then they don't just lose, they get clapped. And that was not fair.
They haven't learned to lose yet. They haven't learned to lose.
Yes.
There's so many parallels you could draw to, another instance where this has happened with a team like the Guard. When they went on a bit of a heater, they unfortunately had their losing moments at Reykjavik itself when they went to that event.
Which is worse.
Cloud9, it is worse. In this situation, the stakes, I'm not going to say the stakes are exactly, not equal to it, because if you lose here, you're done. Like, you don't get that chance to make it to Tokyo and champs and secure that up now. You'd be playing for LCQ. But it is going to be interesting to see if they can bounce back and have that turn, because I feel like confidence will be the word of the day here. We can describe this to almost every single team that's playing.
Yeah, and also, well, you talk about confidence, and let's just look at what happened on social media. I mean, unfortunately, and it sucks, but, the players are definitely taking this loss hard. I feel for them 100%. A Rooney coming in saying, O2 versus Evil Geniuses, whatever they had, we need before our next few games. Embarrassing, like for me, and for Leaf, a player who holds himself, Wyatt, in such high esteem. We were praising him as one of the best players in the world, but yet he kind of came out there with a whimper.
We dedicated a lot of airtime to just hyping him up, only to fall, for the first time this season, extremely flat, which you just don't expect from Leaf at all. And, I mean, you're talking about both teams being in a bad spot, or taking a tumble. Like, Leviathan, they've rolled down a bit of a hill. C9 just cliff face.
Yeah, like 300 Leonidas Spartan kick, you know what I mean?
Did you see Jake's tweet, though? He's saying completely pathetic performance from myself. Like, I know that's got to be a really depressing situation, but brother, you got to pick yourself back up for 24 hours time.
That's the problem. It is the day after, and they've never had, especially with the lack of experience, they've just never been in this situation.
True, but I do trust in this team to recover, and at the very least, give us a matchup like what we were expecting yesterday when they took the stage against EG. Unfortunately, we didn't get that, but I'm hoping that is the result that we end up seeing here today. Now, here's the thing, right? It's very easy to spiral out after a loss like this, but how could this be spun into a positive? Because, Brandon, you had a great note. You said, learn to lose. Learn to lose, and then you can succeed.
That's exactly right. I mean, I kind of jumped the gun, honestly, as well.
That's perfectly fine
with this point here, because it's important as well to learn to lose as a team. And if you've never had that experience, you don't know how to pick yourself back up again. I mean, you're seeing from when we were looking at all the tweets, their reactions to it were incredibly adverse. I mean, these guys are beating themselves up about it. There's an aura of despair in this building today. I don't know if you guys have noticed walking around the back halls and whatnot.
I just caught the scene,
But mate, the players today, everyone that's playing, it feels like they are they don't even believe in themselves that they can win for some reason. I don't know what it is. Everybody's very solemn. Maybe it's like the grayscale color scheme we had when it was Fury NRG, but it's just brought a dampener onto everything. It's a very real thing. They need to be able to turn that around. A large portion of this is going to be, maybe on players like Zelsus, who usually are that centerpiece player in the team environment, who's going to be calling, getting the energy up. Maybe it's going to be placing a lot of emphasis on him to bring up the spirit.
Did you see Zelsus at the end of their match, actually, go over to Jake, like specifically comforting him. Yeah. That's how big of a role that can be on the team, just that emotional leader.
Yeah, an emotional leader is one of the most important things to have in a squad. Team sports, doesn't matter what it is, you want to have that individual that is going to be there for you when you're at your lowest point here. But you also need individuals that are absolutely going to need to pop off. And that is actually going to transition us over to the player that we're going to talk about here. It's Leaf, right? We've given him a lot of airtime. We're going to continue to give him airtime, Wyatt, because he shoots heads very well. But check out this quote, by the way, from Mimi during a sideline report that she did. She says, it was Leaf, who is actually super proactive when he's playing, looking for ideas in the mid-round, calling for utility from his teammates. That is what Leaf does, Sideshow, and he does it so well.
Yeah, and to me, one of the big things that was actually going wrong with Cloud9 in their game against EG was that once they got into post-plant positions, even after they'd done all of they'd navigated the traps, they got through, they were down, but they were in good post plants. Normally, they're still coming up with those ideas. They're still really dynamic. They're pushing, taking areas, re-clearing bits on the map, and they just froze, scared, but in post plants, in one and dones, and those ideas weren't coming. Now, I don't know that it was necessarily Leaf climbing up, but it just seemed as a collective that they lacked that initiative that we'd seen from them before.
Yeah, and it also doesn't help, too, Wyatt, that the way they lost. I mean, it's either, they smoke people or they get smoked, right? And that is not the way that you would want to be in the playoffs right now.
Yeah, and in that match specifically, halfway through Fracture, it just ended up in this place where they started going for plays that I feel like you would never really see from Cloud9 at any point previous throughout the entire split.
They were so confident
Very haphazard plays. Yeah, very confident. And it almost looked at times like they were trying to feign confidence. It was one of those situations where they were trying too much to take the game into their own hands. They were going for too many walk pushes and things like that weren't really being set up properly. They were trying to force the win too hard on Fracture. And then on Bind early on, I think that they started off really poor because almost immediately Ethan in that game was flanking behind them while they were on attack, even while they're on an eco round. Like EG instilled the fear of God in them 2 rounds into that game, and they couldn't mentally recover. Yeah. And then the rest of that entire game, they're not trading for each other well, their spacing is off, their timings with you, everything was off at that point.
Yeah.
And a major concern for me is just how they are actually going to start this series off because they need to get out of they need to escape the mental rut instantaneously.
I totally agree. The aura of despair. Actually, well, you know what, though? Following that loss against Evil Geniuses, actually, we had a chance to speak with Zelsus to get his take on what went wrong in that match. Let's actually go ahead and take a look.
I mean, for me personally, that match was pretty bad. I've felt in that match, I felt the way before in my career. But I think the biggest thing was we were losing rounds, and then we kept trying to do the same things. And that is, like, big on me as the player in the team. Rooney's, like, the IGL, but the voice I have, the presence I'm supposed to have, the role in the team that I'm supposed to have, that is, like, a big red flag for me that I needed to change our game plan and dictate what we were doing, and I didn't do that today. And I think that costed us a lot of rounds. It maybe could have given us like a bubble to come back, but it honestly felt like we were just down the whole time. It honestly felt like they were putting us in spots and they were playing themselves. Like they were they had like a little map and they were just like, all right, click here, 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 and then they were running at us.
I will say, the ability to reflect in a mature manner like that and say, like, yeah, no, Rooney's the IGL, but I have to be the one that steps it up. I have to be the one that's, like, open about this. That's huge.
Yeah. I think you've always been able to tell it with Cloud9, the way that they played as well, because that veteran presence, the core of that team, where they're surrounded by Jake and Rooney. Yeah, Rooney's calling the ideas at the beginning, but the core strength of Cloud9, when I've been watching them throughout this entire split, is their strength of just taking hold of situations and calling really cool ideas in the middle of it and taking timings together, being really coordinated on the same page with that. And if, you go into a game and suddenly you're not winning aim duels, your ideas aren't working, and that core, the core three of, Leaf, Zelsus, Zeppa, they're calling ideas that isn't working, they can feel like they're beating themselves up over it almost, like they're blaming themselves for this loss because normally it's them who are going to be leading the mid-rounding in that capacity.
I'm not sure Leviathan are going to push them as much today, though.
No.
I think that's a big difference.
Well, actually, that moves us on. Very well done. High five, Josh. Segue as we go right over to Leviathan because they squeaked into the playoffs on tiebreakers, and Furia, of course, took them down in that opening round. Let's talk about Leviathan because I've been a big fan of this team at lock-in, seeing them seeing all the hype that was centered around this squad sideshow was so freaking exciting to see a team from Latin America pop off like this.
Yep.
And then they show up here, few good weeks, and then it starts to fall apart.
Their Pearl is still undefeated.
That's true. That's true. We hold on that.
Tend to ban Pearl.
There it is. That's not the aura.
Oh, no. That's bad, guys. Aura of despair, you say.
Leviathan have found themselves in a spot where in the playoffs they kind of needed to reinvent themselves.
Yeah.
They've gone for some slightly different stuff. This, for example, they approached Ascent a little differently. Normally Mazzino would not be pushing out like this. On the other side of the map, Shy did it sometimes too. Unfortunately, Shy is playing Killjoy, and if you're in front of your setups like this and it fails, it ends up just being the round over.
Yeah.
So the
They just put
adaptations,
some garbage on the floor.
yeah, to me, they felt a little desperate, the adaptations. It wasn't something, it wasn't like NRG, where they pull out a whole new comp.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like a team like Loud or EG, where they have a new tactic or a new way of approaching something. It was just, we've got to do something.
I think it was Potter said it best yesterday. Playing to not lose, right, is a very real thing for a lot of players. Because, you always think like, obviously you don't want to lose the game, goes without saying, but there's like this mental block that sits in the back of your head that when the score starts ramping up and you're like, I can't lose. Then you start making these individualized plays, that's where you start to crumble. What do you think? Does Leviathan lean more into that today? Do they have to go away from it? What do you make of that?
I mean, it's hard to believe that after 11 weeks of rigid gameplay from Leviathan that they would start to branch out in a sensical way at this point with this little time. Because it doesn't just encompass like, we are bad at this map and we need to switch it up. Or this team is we're gonna play, like in that last game, we're probably gonna play Haven. Let's switch something up so Furia's prep is nullified. I mean, what are you gonna do, switch it up on 5 maps for this series?
Yeah.
That's just impossible.
And then you're also leaning on the coaching.
Yeah.
You're leaning on the person that is making the calls happen. And we got to talk about Owner because there was a very profound statement he said, right, Brent?
Part of this is what Wyatt is saying of like, you've got your rigid game plan that they've had for weeks and weeks and weeks. And it comes down to like the ideology, this identity of Leviathan as a team. I mean, well, listen, we spoke to Owner and we got as well his thoughts on it. And the guy just doesn't believe in counter-stratting as well.
Yeah. Let's actually take a look.
Sí, lo que sucede o lo que he experimentado yo en el pasado, que cuando haces como muchas anti-strats y ves muchas board review del equipo rival, te enfocas más en lo que el rival hizo en el pasado y no de lo que el rival va a hacer en el futuro, y también se pierde un poco de lo que vos tenés que hacer y la ronda que estás adelante. Entonces, como que en mi experiencia eso puede ser un poco contraproducente. Obviamente, si el equipo rival vuelve a repetir todo lo mismo como si fuese un libreto, te favorece, pero a este nivel es también subestimar los equipos que tenés enfrente. Entonces, creo que nuestro acercamiento al juego es como intentar jugar lo que tenemos adelante en la ronda y no pensar en otra cosa.
And I can understand like this idea that he has, like focus on our own game. Don't get too, led astray by counter-strategy, because if a team does adapt and change it up, you don't want to be still going through the same, like, guys, no, we really need to punish this that they were doing in their last match.
But like Owner said, people don't play the same way every single time.
Lev play the same way every single time. He has fallen into his own trap. He has become the most counter-stratable man in the world so far in Americas, man. And it is killing me because the meta game, throughout any sort of split, long series of games, week on week on week on week, EG realized this. Teams like NRG have realized this for years. It's counter-stratting. It's counteracting what people like to do as part of their defaults and set plays and strategies. And now it's got to the point where Lev are just far too readable and they don't have enough time to change it around. I mean, it's less than 24 hours to turn around into your match today.
Let's move past Bren's Joker moment and really break down, though, what could be the positive here. Because I think one of the positives was Taco. I think Taco finally, we got the Taco that we wanted to see in that last game. But the thing is, it needs to lead to results, right, Sideshow? And I think that is the problem here, is that you want to see players like Takulia pop off, but you need to have the resources behind him as well.
I also said earlier, they're still undefeated on Pearl, right? And it's Pearl, the map where he goes crazy, and also probably is just going to get banned in this match. So Taco needs... But let's drill in a little further on that.
Can you say something positive?
Okay.
Say one nice
Here comes
thing.
the positive. Challenge, say one good thing about Leviathan. Here it comes. And it's that their game plan on Pearl is the thing that makes Taco good. It's not that he magically becomes better when they play that map.
Right.
It's that he is set up to take more of those first engagements. He's more active around the map on their defense side. So that's what I'm looking for. Take that playbook, extend it out, and find him more moments. Like, instead of just having Taco be a piece of the puzzle, a good way of giving a new flavor to Leviathan would have Taco be the main piece of the puzzle. Have all of your plays revolving around him. And it would just make, even if you're doing the same kind of stuff with all the rest of the people, it's going to make it feel very different because you're giving Taco the space he needs to try and go crazy. The problem is he's only really done it on like one map this season.
Guys agree with this?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to take a lot more. But to expand your playbook after that, I have not seen any evidence of it. I thought I was going to see evidence of it at least coming into the playoffs. It hasn't been there. They don't have a lot of time for this. And yeah, I mean, the aura of despair, man, it creeps in. It creeps in.
I know. I'm tempted to say another bad thing about them. And I don't want to. I don't.
Okay?
Okay,
Keep it positive, Josh.
Let me hit something good about
another
them as well.
one?
All right.
I've got another great thing about Leviathan as well.
Yay. Let's go, Josh.
Which is,
Yeah.
Leviathan normally coming into a game against Cloud9, we would all be writing them off. We shouldn't be. Cloud9 in this spot are in their most vulnerable state.
Yes.
They have just been knocked down, and Leviathan Leviathan should be coming into this match thinking, oh God, what an opportunity we have to knock C9 out.
I mean, that's kind of like a backhanded positive.
I'm trying!
That's not even really that positive. The other team might show up in such shocking form that they could. I mean, that's not really...
When you're looking at games like this where both
enough.
teams have been kind of beaten down into the lower bracket, and C9 in such an emphatic way, I think that should be, like, you need the killer instinct to kick in at that point.
Bren?
Yes, true.
Do you believe in Leviathan at
You
all?
want me to say some positives?
I think positives are always good after you just had your rage moment.
Yeah, it's a bit of a rage moment, but I mean, the big learning lesson is going to be, can Cloud9 pick themselves up, honestly, after this significant drop in confidence? It's going to be a big learning moment for a lot of the players as well, and, you know, a bit of a challenge as well, an additional one for MCE, who does such a good job bringing up young talent as well, but now you have to really pick up the confidence. For Leviathan, I don't have faith in them to be able to expand the playbook out. This is the biggest issue that we've had. I just want to see, you know, a bit more refined. If they're going to be trying something new, do it together rather than these solo big individual pushes where it's not well thought out. That's going to be the key that I'm paying attention to as well, seeing if Lev are going to start doing that.
Yeah, well, look, guys, you have questions, and the good news is that we are about to get some answers because we are all set for this epic matchup between Leviathan and C9. Let's send it over to the floor.
Riot Games Arena, it's time for the second match in this lower bracket. Le damos la bienvenida a los representantes de LATAM. Tenemos a Masino, Shai, King, Noswer, Tacolilla y el entrenador Onur. Ellos son Leviathan.
On top, never show fear. No time, no fear, won't stop here. Like a torch to a flame when it burns hot. We won't stop. Like a torch to a flame when it burns hot. We won't stop.
And now, on the other side of this all-important elimination match, it's time to get loud for Leaf, Zeppa, Zelsus, Rudy, Jake, and MCE. Give it up for Cloud9!
Saddle up for this one, guys. This is a good one.
You just had to.
I had to. I'm sorry, Wyatt. I can't help myself. Oh man, I'm 35. Lay off me.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. Listen, I know there's an aspect of this Cloud9 walkout that I like. I understand there's a little bit of whimsy there, but I don't think it gets them in the right headspace.
Just get them pumped up?
No, I don't think it gets them pumped up.
Get some Metallica in there or something like that.
It's not like the loud final boss entrance, is it?
Yeah, no, it doesn't get the crowd that hyped up. It's just kind of like, oh, well, that's fun.
I am looking forward to if we get C9 Loud Finals, the epic boss music and the that's gonna be great. Oh man, well, as the players are getting ready to go, I mean, this is such an important matchup, obviously, but it's important outside of even the results of moving forward in the bracket. It's important to see how these teams really just pick themselves up, Wyatt, after just struggle. And it's weird to say that about Cloud9 considering the run that they've had this season.
Yeah, absolutely. With Leviathan, honestly, the one thing that I would really like to see in this game, scratch everything we were talking about before as far as innovation,
that whole
doing
segment.
something new, erase it from your memory. What I want to see is a return to the form that we had seen them in. What we know them for is being elite with the fundamentals. That was coming into the year, their marquee aspect of their gameplay. They were so good at playing off of each other. And that is just slipped away with everything else. But that was something that I trusted them with, and if there's one thing I want them to have back, it is that.
Fair enough.
Over the course of Cloud9's season, actually, they've been the team that has impressed me the most in terms of how they play off each other. The aggression in terms of where they swing and trade to support their teammates. That was not really showing in their match against EG. You had Ethan with his stuns, picking people off, Zeppa in one-and-dones, like the younger, well, not necessarily younger, but less experienced players like Jake and Rooney had lost the confidence to swing. So in a similar manner to the way that you would like Leviathan's fundamentals to return back to their form, that's what I'm mostly going to be looking at for Cloud9 too. Are they fighting, helping each other, swinging, trading, that
or
kind
is this
of
going to
stuff?
be like when everyone played loud and then after that just immediately got boomed? Is it the same thing? You play EG, you just get boomed.
EG got better after getting 13-0.
That's right, man. I don't know.
Reverse run after that.
All right, well, let's get into the map vetoes here and see where we're going. Fracture is going to get out of here first, as well as Pearl.
Yeah, and that's the really flattening part for Leviathan. Because normally you would expect them to have great chances. I say normally, at the beginning of the year. You would have expected them to have great chances on maps like Haven and Ascent here. Cloud9 have been elite on Ascent, I think. Yeah. And their Lotus has also been sublime. Where do you go to get the win?
I don't think this match is going to be defined though by strategies and map strengths. More so, are the players in good form and are they able to get the confidence going initially off the rip? Because a lot of it gets defined for both of these teams as well. And when we see poor performances out of the LEV players as well, Taco, who's normally playing that duelist role and having poor performances, the same could be said about Leaf as well as an individual recently. Yeah. Like he's usually the player who you're expecting to be putting up top numbers every single time, and he's been getting flattened in a lot of their recent maps. It started back at the end of the regular season with that crew match. I want to see both of these teams pick themselves up. What I don't want to see is two wet flannels in the server, everybody holding one-and-done like corners and being scared to take fights. That's what I don't want to see.
Also, I really want to try wet flannel now.
I want to see two teams that think that they deserve to be in playoffs and that deserve to be at Tokyo and champs and even further. I want to see them play with confidence.
It's got to spin.
Yeah, I mean, the teams have got to believe in themselves before
when are you going to drop the album?
The analysts will.
Bro, I mean, listen, I'm not going to lie. I'm seeing that huddle from Cloud9. It was tepid.
I was seeing them giving passion speeches
It's making me angry. They need somebody to get their arms around them.
I just think you're in an angry mood today.
Possibly, I don't know. But listen,
you won. Are you smarter than a gold player, man?
I'm going to stop talking.
All right, we're going into the Asian select now, and already out of the gate, we're going to see Mizzino go right for that harbor, and we'll of course see if we're going to get any changes or uniqueness here in the compositions.
Yeah, I mean, this is already different, right?
Oh, I didn't notice. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so Mizzino picking harbor implies that they've gone through an entire rework of their playbook.
Is everybody going to be playing?
Scrapped it all.
Is everyone moving over to the double wall?
Oh, you guys are getting really red. I wish the camera was on you.
I'm getting excited, Golden Boy. Are we really seeing them change their composition in the do and die 11th hour? I am so down for this.
I'm perfectly happy with this. I want to see it. And frankly, it's only a matter of time until Viper Harbor is just everywhere.
Takes over the world.
Yeah, takes over the world.
That's right. We're going to vote for president.
Inevitable. It's spreading like a virus. And here it is. They've done it. I'm so happy they did this. I didn't think they would. I didn't think they'd have the time. I didn't think they'd have the gusto, but they've done it.
I also think this is going to put enormous pressure on Zelsus. The breach is really difficult into this comp. We've got to see how coordinated they are. You heard from Ardis. They got slapped around in 2 scrims by the guard and came out and beat Furia. So, listen, scrims be damned. Come into the match, play the match.
Oh, man. Well, I think you heard it from our analysts here. What a segment that was. But we're ready to go, baby. Which means it's time to send it over to your casters for this one. 2 of my favorite people. It's Vansili and Rivington. The floor is yours, gentlemen.
Thank you, GB. It is crazy on the analyst desk, but definitely it's going to be crazy in this series. Leviathan versus C9. It's hunt or be hunted for both of these teams, as now tournament lives are on the line, you know? It's fair game for both of these teams. One of them has to move forward, and one of them eventually will unfortunately have to go home.
They will, and seeing the desk get riled up about this one, I think, has everybody ready. They finally get the changes they were asking for. Will LEV do a change? No, they wouldn't this late. They're going to go back to regular protocols. Well, they are going to make a change, and you know what?
Yeah.
It seems like a good one. Bringing in that double controller against Leaf's Jet, try to shut it down, throw all the utility you have at Leaf to shut him down. It's what Evil Geniuses did. We saw Leaf for one of the first times going negative versus every player in that game, in that series. Already lower, Takulia wants to get some sheriff shots out and send a message that there's one on the map, as it just gets worked through the middle and still towards that attacker side for Cloud9, playing it slow. Still backing up. A few harbor walls in front of them just to kind of pull out that utility, as we saw Cloud9 walking up long. And now they're going to go for a re-hit. Trying to sense out where Leviathan might be. They're going to choose number gambles right here as they mess with a little bit of Killjoy utility, but no one's yet to meet each other on these angles. They're all playing around each other.
And while they were breaking the turret here for Cloud9, a lot of utility was being used by Leviathan on the A side. Trailblazer came down, a flash came out too, so that's less information, but still allowing Takulia to position himself right at A long. Falls back after contact, flash comes in, C9 now executes into the A site. Big paranoia, counter flash out, but it's still Leaf with the first blood in the round. Already the flood retake, some support from behind. The toxic screen supporting Takulia for a little bit more. But just like that, all of Leviathan falls. Only one more left standing. It's King on a rotate on the top of heaven against a full roster of Cloud9. Not yet spotted. As it peeks out towards the window. Positioning from Zeppa, still watching towards B main, so they have no clue of where this player is standing until he jumps out. And Rooney allows C9 to get the flawless in the round.
Really clean play from Cloud9, one of the best pistol round teams we have in the Americas, and they show us why there. Like you said, the re-hit towards A, they go in, they get out the Trailblazer, they get out a guiding light, making that second hit easier. And as long as you have Rooney's recon bolt up, Leaf is happy to dive into a smoke. You get that dash and dart in, and you are ready to take down the site, especially with a follow-up. I should say first portion of Zelsus' fault line to start it. Towards A, it looks like Cloud9's always going to be able to touch and go with A. Give a little push-pull and find out what util could be here. Maybe a little closer this time.
Little bait and switch too. You saw the escape from Noswer, the turret on the top for Shy. But Takulia was still tucked into the corner with the classic. C9 identifies an aggressive push, decides to pull back in the B site. And that's no utility to hold them back. Not much to work with, so we have to keep an eye out on how C9's gonna be playing against Leviathan this very map. They talked about it on the analyst desk. A full compositional change for Leviathan, pulling out the double controller. For C9, nothing changes. So for Orner and the rest of Leviathan, yes, you understand how C9 currently plays on this map. You don't necessarily want to anti-strat it, but you want to maximize and optimize this composition and try to play it to your best strength.
You almost know there's going to be 2 hits to each round here with Cloud9's composition. If Lev get that down, they'll be pretty well off. We'll find on some kills here, Vansili.
Yeah.
A little bit of damage to the money as we get into this bonus round.
It's actually quite good too, even tapping on the spike.
Yeah, bring him back.
Forcing another player one close, right? That's actually 3 players falling down for C9. 2 kills coming out for King and a death. You're getting very close to that Viper's Pit. That's going to help out very early on the first half.
Getting a few more orbs online. Looks like the buys are good on both sides still. Cloud9 kept that quite cheap as they went into the round. And we'll see if they continue to play this A-hit. But looking at Lev's defensive side now, how are they switching up? What are they doing? We're seeing a lot of movement from Takalea. Not too much change up in what Shy has set yet. I think we'll see that once Cloud9 starts to work the left side of the map and they see that utility for the first time. For now, we're still seeing the turret towards B and a few mollies in that section as well. This A push, though, continues to be tempted by both sides, Zancilli. And now we might get some action out of it.
Yeah, some great counters coming out from C9. Recon Dart with a stun. Forcing now Takalea away. Back in the A site. But still the lurk comes through, so a default round for C9. Probing around the map, spawning a player on default. That's going to get called out from Leviathan's side, but still not budging into the positionings. The high tide did enough to keep Leviathan back in the A side. Information being thrown out from that flash. But there's a fake throw from that smoke.
Yeah. This dive to back a site. It'll be interesting to see how Leviathan reacts each time. That's what we noticed on their Ascent game, was how they continued to defend. It was very predictable. What was happening from Furia would just run them over every time they would be in the back of Boathouse. Here, you have a lot more room to work with on Haven, so we should see Leviathan being able to back up and retake, as Cloud9 is now in C.
Paranoia, but it was avoided now in the back of the site by King, who still manages to get that hold onto Leaf. Inside the smoke, Shy's not afraid of these kills. That's despite that falls. Zeppa looking to avenge his teammates. The smoke dissipates. 1v1. Shy gets the third. And Leviathan, a strong gun round as they have that weaponry coming in with a flawless.
And they didn't even see much of King on that. I think King was just a surprise to them as they try to keep clearing the site and scale forward. Leviathan in the early portion of the season really played this kind of confident mentality around their utility in sight. Like, it was God's gift. The utility couldn't go wrong. Let's keep our positions. And they wouldn't move. Here, they do a little bit of that. King standing tall, knowing the team would be right around. Shy just outside the smoke. Very nicely done. And in a much needed round, especially if Cloud9 would start to pick up that momentum.
Ooh.
And the momentum does get picked up.
Exactly. Answer right back, though. This will allow another Vandal to get picked up. You saw a hero rifle coming in for C9 at the beginning here. So 1-for-1, Shy still fights for a hold on B. So no utility to get broken in the B site. Leviathan still has now a very strong hold, especially after that kill coming out from Azina.
A good push mid too, Vancilli. They're trying to pinch in C9 now.
Yeah, it's a big lurk. Actually dropping Zeppa allows to activate that lurk from Shy. Forced and now C9 to walk into the site. Jake just comes across as the toxic screen comes up, gets the pick onto Nosware. 2 players left alive, make that only 1 for Cloud9. Jake on low HP, denied by King. Instantly, we tie this game up, and it's a great start now for Leviathan. The last time these two teams faced off against each other in that week number 7, it was a one-sided story for Cloud9, winning that map 13-4. There was no answers available for Leviathan, but they definitely found it in these last 2.
And this time they start kind of on Leaf, and Leaf's trying to start it off too. 2-2 on first kills, first deaths. We see him going down for the first time there, a second round for Leaf, and Leviathan able to push through off of that big priority frag. When Leaf's still there, you gotta reconsider the elevation, right? If Leaf's gone, you really don't have to worry about looking up, down, and all around once you get into sight. Clears a few more of your angles. Here, again, towards A. Cloud9 are really liking the kind of utility they can source from Leviathan here, and maybe show us a second hit. Ultimate's very close to being online.
Jump spot. Nosware's gonna see 2 right there. Leaf trying to get the pick. The dash forward. Shy helping on the left side of Graffiti. It's a 3-player stack for Leviathan in the A site. Cascade also comes through, and all the visions being blocked, not allowing C9 to really get into the site until Rooney gets a pick up onto Nosware. Finally, as everything calms down, up for the surprise, Messino gets the kill onto Leaf. More delays. Well done here for Leviathan.
So good.
Now the wall bang. Yeah, Shy gets pinged out, but he's not going to get too much damage being done here by C9. Messino not afraid of just running around these default boxes. Yes, a 2v2, but this will be a plant for C9 because the second player of Leviathan is very far behind on that flank.
What a stalemate in sight to get us down to this. Tacolia continuously looking for these angles. And maybe King's going to have to be the first one so Taco can get a peek after his push into sight. This is going to be tough.
And Rooney cannot play the Hunter's Fury, so it's a crossfire setup. Zelsus decides to take the angle himself to win that fight against King. Tacolia, very difficult to do on the retake with the operator, denied right away. And that's a perfect hold for the last few players of C9 as they regain the lead on Haven.
And consider it too, you see him standing on the operator. Do you want this? Do you? No. Good crossfire, good setup, and definitely good for Cloud9 to be able to stop that situation, figure out what Lev was doing, and come back stronger. We kind of asked at the beginning of the day, is a wounded C9 scarier than the one that was just making such a successful run? Because you've made them think now about what errors could be occurring, the kind of speed bumps they were going over before with success, but somebody made them go around those speed bumps. So they think twice now, and it could be that much scarier.
You talk about wounded animal. Having to face now baskets the well survival instincts against a different composition this time around on Haven, and it starts with the Hunter's Fury to execute on the C site. Stopped by a Reckoning out on a defense, so that pulls C9 away. A lurk activated, a late lurk from Zeppa, but he's just trying to cut rotations now, not pushing through Garage, where Tacolia is currently waiting with that Vandal. ADAcing through. It seems as though right now for C9, it might be a re-hit with the Rolling Thunder if they want it at this point.
Another re-hit. It seems to be the story of their game right now. That Rolling Thunder's ready to fly.
Big smoke towards the back, so this, I was gonna say, Tacolia had to fight into Garage. No trades, comes across a third. Is it gonna be the turn? Nope, it's denied right away, and it's C9 all over the board, forcing now Shy to save.
That's just one of those, it's going to be one of those games feelings, right? You're trying to shoot somebody that's not looking at you, and you just get danced out of the situation by another one of their teammates. That'll be a fourth one for Cloud9 here, and they do it flawless. This is really what Lev needs to prevent, too. When you get money under Leaf and he feels comfortable about dashing forward because they can still buy next round, or you're coming up to Bladestorm, so going down isn't actually going to be that detrimental to the play. It gets scary. Cloud9 and Zelsus start thinking about the future rounds, and you have to start predicting what they're going to do. So Leviathan does get a save in. Cloud9's been preventing the full saves, so they're really not going to be able to do too much on the tricky side of things. But I think a low Arbor buy still comes in here, as we see Cloud9 doing one of their first really strong C hits. Having an ultimate ready, changing up the side of the map so they're not giving any precedent, or setting any precedents, I should say, that Leviathan can work off of.
And not only a strong execution on the C side, but they've been very good on the last two executions for C9, both on A and on C side, holding a very good pulse plant. Fighting into great trades in Garage, something that we haven't seen from C9, where they, of course, fell flat against Evil Geniuses. This time around, more pressure on the A site. Leviathan wants to fight that right back, controlling sewers with the Viper's Pit.
Taco by himself on that left side. Middle of the map is cleared. This jump coming. Oh no, they're not gonna wait.
Just a dash through, and Jake comes in. Fight from behind, avenging his teammate. The lead comes in on the A site. Cover going now. It's Jake once again. The player who mentioned that he had a very poor performances and wanted to step it up, and definitely did so on this side. Now Zeppo alone on the lurk. At least identifies the last two players of Leviathan on that rotate, so a lot of time for C9 to set up for the pulse plant.
2 rounds ago, we saw Cloud9 do this same strategy, but be killed by the person that was hiding in the cubby on the left. So instantly, we're seeing that C9's making a quick adjustment. That's time, another round now that we see Nasr jumping up, a little action. Quick cleanup by C9. That we see Nasr jumping to peak. And if you see somebody jumping to peak in A, that usually means they have someone else there to keep them safe. You're not just solo jumping, peeking, giving your position away. The Cloud9 take that little info with it and instantly look left for that frag that they missed last time. There's 2 from it, actually, just by changing up that one thing in their strategy.
When you have these 2 players trying to do the retake, not much utility you can work with.
Right.
No recon. Have to be strong on the hold. Get all the initiator utility on that A site. That got instantly denied. Now finally forcing the first timeout out of this series. It's Leviathan trying to optimize with the little time that they have left.
Yeah.
To get the maximum out of this composition on Haven.
Yeah, it's just the little time that they have left and had to produce anything here, right, Vince? You're right on the money with that. Yeah, you know how to throw walls and use that, but the timing, you're not adjusted to what that's going to be like, you know? Playing around those walls, going up and down, as the owner gives a little bit more info from that top-down view he's had the whole time. Quite a few ultimates here for Leviathan to use and change the flow of the game. I think it is to play reactive with these ults, though, unless they're going to have a long push on one of the extremities. It can be one quick way you start to suffocate a team that's taking too much control of a map. But so far, Leviathan has played safe. They've played back and really only ventured into the sewer area where we see Tacolia going once again.
And that's been their issue as well for Leviathan. When you want to play protocols, when you want to play passively, you get punished. You give a lot of space here for your opponents to take ground control, and that's what C9's been doing. They've been doing an awesome job of allowing LEV to just dash into the site, have players follow behind, and be perfect on their trades. Leviathan have to be more aggressive here to try to fight back against Cloud9, and C9 starts with, again, activating LEV to get in the garage. Shy already falls, Poison Orb up, King has to anchor the site. There's an updraft from behind, trying to get the backstab there onto King, and it works out. Such a low buy coming out, though, for Leviathan. Yes, they're doing a little bit of damage across, but it's up to the Blade Storms of Tacolia. Is very far behind. Could even plan it for long if they want to, but C9 decides to play more safely.
That was explosive to get into garage. You got to call credit to the molly that we saw Shy got caught autopilot watching. And they get a family photo for Rooney, or for Taco, I should say, as he walks into the site there. That's a little concerning, though, if Leviathan is just being hit like that. When that was the priority side, yeah, Lev's on a low buy, but that's where the team was. That's where the util was. And it actually turns out that they were looking at a molly, and that's how the defense broke open.
Yeah.
As garage was rushed, so Leviathan kind of feeling out, getting their momentum going here, because it's not there yet.
Just look at that execution and look at how they entered in the site in garage for C9.
Yeah.
Walking through the high tide, walking through cascades. There's utility behind it to allow C9 to push through.
It's wild.
Leviathan, yeah.
4 already.
Hit by the nanostorm, forced to fall back. C9 already looking for a split. Have a lockdown to work with.
You should run.
Now Tacolia wants to press forward, was anticipating, wanted to push forward, but doesn't have a dash. So decides the ladder to fall back and wait for the rotation to come through. The support from Leviathan. One of their first opportunities to really go for a full retake. A 5 versus 5. They have their own lockdown to work with. Using it already now in the back of Heaven. Seeker's also available. Utility's not strong enough to break the lockdown, allowing Leviathan to come back in and C9 to play passively outside of the radius of that lockdown. Seeker's now coming out too. LEV pulled back in sewers. Rooney's still spamming across, and the Phantoms are still really good. First one to fall is on the side of Leviathan. We haven't tapped onto the spike yet, and finally we get it done. Zep on a 1v1, but it's all C9 once again on the post plant. Noswer left, no time left, and he's gonna have to fall back, but Jake's just waiting there in the spawn. He's just pinned. So Noswer will fall, at least get a kill before. But the scoreline is still C9 in the lead now by 5 rounds, 7-2.
Oh, Vans, one of the points going into that round was Lev had some ults to work with, right? They were able to get in, stop a bit of that Cloud9 defense or offense, but those ultimates did not count. Big plus, big positive to Jake's teleport with From the Shadows. They got to the back, forcing Leviathan to fight everything in front of them, kind of making that a bigger push instead of waiting for him how far he could have been on the lurk. Cloud9 just putting everything on Leviathan's plate here as soon as they think they have the good retake on the board.
And now Leviathan, that's what they wanted, to try into these later rounds, to fight back, to not allow C9 to set up. Already Tacolia is in the window. All of C9 grouped up at C. So it's a guessing game. Now the jump spot spawning one. Everybody can start pivoting now towards the C side for Leviathan.
Cloud9 have just so organized in how they're moving the team together. As long as there's the few of them with the initiator utility, this is the site they're going to be taking. Leafs just waiting for that to fly overhead.
Aftershock to push King out, but Jake still gets the opener. Rolling Thunder on the attack to clear out C site. Jake with the teleporter on the top, shrouded step. Wow. And with that shrouded step, gets the headshot into Messino. Whole plant, retake attempt by Leviathan once again. High Tide pushed up on the defense, allowing for them to push forward at least, but as it comes down, unfortunately, everybody falls. Takulia was heard earlier on before, so everybody's moving forward for C9 for the pulse plant at C. But yeah, this round's once again got to come in for C9.
Moving forward with just dominating force. We see Jake as well. Shrouded step up onto C default boxes to keep playing. He is heating up this game. And honestly, after we see him tweeting last week about the game, how it felt, how bad he felt, it's really good to see that the young rookies are still able to heat up and kind of shake that off. 8-2 now for Cloud9, this attack side. Incredibly dominant as it should be.
Yeah.
Now all the shots hitting. So you even see Leviathan on these flanks, Vansili. It's even the speed at which Cloud9's moving, even with Takulia flanking from behind, the Jet's not quick enough to get there to the party. C9 are just at a different pace right now.
Oh, definitely. And even 2 rounds ago, you have to pay attention to the positioning of the spike plants.
Right? Just trying to mess with Leviathan and rinse and repeat. Over to C.
King inside of the poison orb. Oh, just a one tap. Leaf is back. Shy with 2 kills, but Leaf clears the back of the site and the front of the site.
There's that flank.
Yeah, and that's a spike. That's actually really good here for Takulia to readjust. Gets the headshot midair onto Leaf. And Jake looking for the clutch. Pin now from Garage. Hurt the footsteps on the first. Head-to-head against Takulia. The cape is out. The dink comes out. And Jake is low on HP. Will not be able to clutch. And finally, Leviathan answers in.
Oh.
Last round in the half.
Getting the eco round on the eco team, Vansili.
True.
That's got a sting right there, giving Cloud9 a bit of their own medicine. Being able to pull up that low buy round. And really huge. Honestly, Takulia is like, they have a Blade Storm this round. I can basically do the same thing if I have a Guardian and tap those heads. And tap those heads, he did. Getting that pseudo storm in for Leviathan just a few rounds early. And we'll see. Does that Guardian go drop to somewhere? He just actually upgrades during the round. Final round, can they get it in an 8-4 first half here after would be weathering a storm? Cloud9 do not stop at C.
Leaf's already in. Dashes in the back of the site. King's low on HP, reckoning out on the defender side. As they're pushing through, trying to fight back, but Nanoswarms, Vandals, everything's working in favor of C9. No, they cannot hold it.
No.
Which answers that question you were asking, Riv. 2 players alive now for Leviathan. The plant comes in once again safely in a default spot. Kazepa's so far from that turret. Was hoping or expecting maybe a flank coming through. A flash now spotting 1 player. And that's Nas we're looking to do the solo play. First kill onto Jake. It's himself and Takulia. Make that only Takulia. Activating the dash. It's going to be a tough feat. All he's able to do so far is do some damage. Maybe stat pad. Being fault line now, and I think this is pretty much it, Riv.
Yeah. Leviathan have not been able to secure a retake this entire first half here. I mean, Cloud, with this much post-plant success, Cloud9's going to be moving up past Loud over that #1 position for post-plant. So really great stuff here coming from Cloud9 into the sites and after the plant. They hit A for most of the map, only toyed with B for a bit, and C 3 or 4 times to end this one. So honestly, just realizing where it works, what take is hitting, and if Lev's not going to change the defense, why should C9 change the attack? We're going to toss it right back to the desks of Josh Wyatt and GB to talk us through that half and get us into round 2.
Thank you so much, Riv and Vansili. And, you know, I think out of the gate, it's very clear, right? You wanted to see Leviathan do something a little bit different. They did do a little. It was different. It was different. But are you satisfied?
No, I don't think so. I feel like Leviathan have picked the composition, but they haven't really understood some of the timings involved. And Taco Nozwa are part of the aggressive component of this composition, and I felt like they weren't getting any value. Cloud9 played a very straight-up game. They took a piece of map control, they went to that area of the site. There weren't too many fakes flying around here. Like for this round, for example, they take A, they go into back site, they deconstruct the setup, and these people are just kind of running in. It feels like Lev are trying to flood defend, but they just don't quite understand how the timings work with this comp.
Yeah, the retake timings were off over and over, and it was nice to see specifically Jake, Rooney, taking advantage of that, finding those kills in those situations early on, building the confidence early on like we talked about. That was a big concern heading into this with Cloud9. If they started slow, are they just gonna fall over like they did yesterday? Well, no, that's not the case. Those players found the kills, found the confidence, so that was reassuring to see.
And to be honest, we've been ragging on Leviathan for not doing anything new for a long time. But when they have brought out like a brand new composition here, they feel like they're not really understanding the finer details of how to get it working.
Sure, yeah.
And Taco Nozra are trying. They are trying to fight A short, and then Cloud9 just go garage to C. And Taco's left clearing garden, wondering what's going on. They don't look as practiced, and it makes me believe maybe that one of the reasons why they've been so static is because these players struggle at picking up things on the fly. We just saw NRG instantly pick it up. I mean, they only had 2 scrims, and then come out and they beat Furia. This doesn't seem like a team that has that strength, maybe?
Yeah, no, it's a fair point, and we'll see how this plays out. Of course, Cloud9 currently up right now. Let's go ahead and send it back over to the casters to get us through this next half.
Thank you, gentlemen. Indeed, we have to see how Leviathan will activate on the attack half of Haven. We've seen a lot in these double controller compositions. It's relying a lot on the entries of what the Jet could do. And we've been talking about Taco Leah's performances from week to week. He had a great performance in the last game, but we're hoping that that continues and that ensues into this matchup right here. So they could bring this game back, and it's starting quick, actually. Zeppa's already around the corner. It's a 1-for-1, so Taco did his job for the 1, but a big paranoia comes out. And it's C9 that continues to play the defense like they were on the attack on the previous half, chasing down King on a 2v2, and that's finally going to calm things down.
I love that. I was going to say the same thing. Is this still their defense?
Enemy remaining.
Or attack?
You know exactly where King's at, too. Nice job from both players. The new additions to C9, Rooney and Jake, allowing C9 to get another pistol round in the series.
And Cloud9 wanting to dominate from the get-go. That strat doesn't work and they don't see anybody in mid. They're already behind what could be towards long A or C. Really just trying to dominate the pace right off the rip here on the second half. Trying to make it look like it's not an attacker-sided map, if you will. They're going to be buying up here. Jake actually to the Vandal right away as Rooney goes Marshall. So extremities controlled. Backside's going to be held by Leaf. I think they're predicting a C hit. We might get a fast rotation in here for Leviathan as this wall allows them to creep down into lower and explode out of sewers. All 5.
Yeah.
This is going to be a dangerous one. They're going to have to re-clear towards long.
Recondar was a little bit late too. So Rooney has a Marshall, but if it's all 5, yeah, he'll do some damage on maybe 1. Maybe done.
Oh dear.
Now the dash comes in, does get the contact onto King. Zeppa's already there for the support. Denying the plant for a bit, and it's going to be a little bit safer for Noswer. That's going to help Leviathan into the next round. Let's try to play it close. Yeah, it works out.
Good trade.
Continue to do that damage for Leviathan. A little bit of a dink. Trade off by Masino. A 2 versus 0 now as the retake comes back for Cloud9. I mean, and you still have to give that light at the end of the tunnel, the silver lining. Come in here, Leviathan, from doing some good damage and a spike plant. But 3-11 Riv. It's not going to be as easy.
Just to get you on what the pace has been here and how it's been stopped or going for C9, that's the first successful retake of the map by Cloud9. They are controlling this game. They're driving this one around.
Yeah, I mean,
no timeout coming out. I thought there was going to be.
1 retake attempt, 1 retake done. Leviathan were 0 on retakes there, so you really do see that it's been a one-sided story thus far for Cloud9, who continues to press forward. A paranoia in the fault line. Noswer punishing 2 on that push. It did do a little... a little bit of damage. And Zelsus maybe just... I don't know what I'm going to do.
Little DC there? We'll have to figure it out.
Yep, but there's only 2 players left for C9 no matter what. And again, it was on their bonus round for Cloud9, so looking for some sort of trap play worked out for a bit, but thankfully for Leviathan, you had that second and third player behind Noswer and King. Still holding these angles.
They heard that.
Yeah, they're not allowing Cloud9 to pick up the extra weapons here, and finally one does. Both of them now spotted by the Trailblazer.
Enemy remaining.
Looking for a clean flawless, and Leviathan's gonna get it.
They crash through. Nicely done, and that was something that I think Leviathan needed to show that they could do, is stop a Cloud9 push when they were coming in full blind as well. So to readjust for that and have the audible save a big round, that helps. Let's see this one more time. Noswer coming up big when you need him.
Yeah, thankfully not affected by any of that utility. And that's a great start now for Leviathan. The first opportunity that they have with the weapons advantage. They seize that opportunity now in a full gun round between Cloud9 and Leviathan in round number 16. Levhart looking for a quick push and a seaside split. Gets denied right away by Jake on the top of the platform. Seekers coming out on the attack. A support crossfire with Zeppa. As finally C9 continues to hold the wall bang. Fully hit by the Seekers by Zelsus. Putting C9 at map point.
Match point.
A jaw on the floor for me on that one. How does Zelsus and Zeppa just stay alive, or I should say Zeppa stay alive so long in C where he was tucked in? But I think it's a big props to Jake. First kill came from platform, so nobody was really looking close for the first point, right? Jake comes up to destroy the Seekers and help clean out the information they get, and Zeppa's still pretty safe in that position. So overall, super good teamwork to keep everybody alive in such a tight situation there for Cloud9. And they just deny a round right after Lev gets a flawless. We'll see what happens again here. Possible round point for Haven.
Cascade out, Nosler down to 23 HP, but thankfully that Takolia is able to get that pick onto Rooney. Zelsus pressured. No punishment behind the Trailblazer.
Spike is down for this.
Yeah, all a default play now for Leviathan. The beginning to just try to add pressure in A long, and they are able to take Rooney down at least. It's a lot of information that's not going to be available for Cloud9 in the later round. So we hit the mid round.
Yeah, if lockdowns here, they can actually just allow a site to be taken here and get the retake on it. Mid's not hit. They don't even have to worry about that with the utility set up. Garage is covered by turret. They're just waiting on the play from Leviathan right now. It's all on Lev.
It's all on Leaf right here. The first headshot to Shy activates dash, but gets punished right away. King trades it out. Now Leviathan decides to push in the C site, or in the A site rather. High tide to cover the back.
30 seconds
It's gonna be a
left.
default plan. You hear Jake with the flank. Looking at the angle, King was looking to chase him down. Big paranoia, allowing Zeppa to push through. But drop by Takolia, you wanted him to step up.
Jake
dashes away, but Nosler is there right through the cove, and Leviathan stays alive.
Oh no, we're at 12-6. You know what happens at 12-6? The speed comebacks. Oh, gotta get one more round for Lev. Miscounted. Don't do math on stream. There's a spam. So that's what we've been seeing Jake and Cloud9 pick up throughout a lot of their games as well. I think it's understated. You know, spams happen, but how much a player is understanding when their opponent is in a hot zone, when they're in these channels where the spams would be most effective. I think you see Cloud9 being able to pick up a lot of those timings, and now Lev gets a few to fall in their favor, keeping this Haven matchup alive. Towards mid, one of our first plays here that could go all the way through.
C9 wants to fight right away. They do have a stinger by, a lockdown, Hunter's Fury. Everything needed for a strong retake, and indeed the Aftershock stalls a bit for the B site, allowing a little bit of the repositioning, the group up on the C. Link for Cloud9.
Okay.
This is a big pit, but remember, Zeppa still has this lockdown. Takolia playing on top of the boxes, headshot onto Jake, traded right back out by Zeppa. Lockdown not being used yet. Zeppa still wants to fight forward, and Leviathan are having the perfect angles to deny C9 entry in the B site. As Rooney has no choice but to pull back and save his weapon. No ults being used here at this point. But you wanted that 6th round for Leviathan? We're definitely going to get it now, Rick.
There we go. Just using the crystal ball a little bit. And the Viper Wall from LEV has been the common wall that they're throwing, that King is putting up from short, or from garden to lower to B and this BA connector, when a lot of times you'll see a team throwing it to C so you can section off C and fight the left side, the middle, and then towards spawn or garage if you want to. So the way they used it here on B with the harbor wall to the left, kind of just like recreating what happens over at C to secure this round for themselves. So nicely done. There's that wall once again from King. And a little more A play here. Leaf's gonna try to get down to lower and try to get his ult point for Blade Storm right off the rip. It's gonna be a fault line to help.
Out of my way.
Makes it through with no up. But the control is there. Alarm bot's gonna be sounded as he breaks it across. Meanwhile, though, Leviathan are just looking for a fast hit in B site. But there was smoke thrown there by Jake, preventing the entry from Leviathan. So he pull back, hold, and trying to see if they could punish anybody on the extremities pushing forward, but Leaf decided otherwise. He's just playing the ADS down long A.
You can definitely see how Leviathan is thinking in these rounds. You know, we hit B, we saw where the util was, so let's go and throw the same wall, mess with that util, and then we initiate again as we can go and hit the right side of the map if they get that wall back up, or wherever they decide. Still in quite a default setup. They figure Shy was pushed up lower. So good info by Cloud9 here. We're 45 seconds left in the round. Looks like it's going to be an A hit with Taco Leah.
Unless, yeah, there's got to be a late pull at some point, right, or a late flank. If the plant still comes in for Leviathan on A, though, I'd be scared. There's a possibility of a combination from a lockdown and Hunger's Fury on the plant. And thankfully, from the execution, it pulls out both of those ults that were just mentioned right away. So it actually allows Leviathan to move into A. Meanwhile, though, Taco Leah does get the pick off onto Zeppa. Still fight inside B as Zelsus answers back onto Messino. An early rolling thunder to retake right back. Taco Leah cutting the rotation. That's still Leviathan in the lead for this round. Rooney already running through, does get the headshot onto King. It's him and Zelsus. Zelsus, who said he wanted to step up on this game. Trying to support Rooney. They hear the footsteps. The crossfire is still really good for Leviathan as they put up the 7th in this matchup.
2 thumbs up from Leviathan on that round. Where was that the previous rounds? Like the fakes they were using, that's a lot of what we saw yesterday, with teams using their ultimates just to throw the map off balance and get to the other side. Really nicely faked. Great macro on that one, and waiting out a pretty late re-hit. Leviathan showing us a little bit of gusto on that one. And they have enough, though. You got to do that to every round to Cloud9 now to stay in this one. 5 chances in here for C9. Now they're on a low buy. Long gets pressured.
If we mentioned we needed Taco Leah to step up to the plate to allow Leviathan to get these rounds. 3 first kills, 3 rounds converted for Leviathan. C9 doing the same thing, wanting to use their jet to activate first on this half by its Leaf with the Blade Storm already by the window. And Leviathan understands this. Usually on these low buys, it's trap plays, it's fast, it's quick, as they're all holding towards spawn.
Yeah, and Leaf's treating this like a big round. Full armor, full buy there. Well, not full buy with the weapon, but everybody else on light armor. And Jake just holding down on that 100. So you can see Leaf wants to make an impact on this round. He is pushing mid by himself. Protected.
It's not gonna really slow down Leviathan, though. It does. They're still scaling up now. In sewers, getting ready for a split.
Yeah.
But if there's one man that could do it alone, it's definitely this man right here looking for the updraft. There's that first and a second. Misses a few daggers here. Taco Leah falls back. That allows Messino to get the plant. Even playing it safe. Look at the Seekers coming out from Nosware. No quick flames coming through, so all of Leviathan could hold into the A site.
Good call.
And C9's looking for the retake.
Do they flood? Do they drop in? That's so many people in heaven, man, silly.
Oh, yeah. It's fault line recon dart flashes aftershot to clear hell. Leaf dashing through the site, trying to connect, but does not work out. Rooney's still with the Sheriff, but everybody's getting dropped. Like ducks in a row at the fair game.
Yeah.
Leviathan gets another round.
Ducks in a row on bottom, fish in a barrel up top. There's not much you can do to get out of that situation. And Lev is, again, kind of play the map a little bit, figure out what Cloud9 are trying to execute on, and play the numbers. Cloud9 as well playing a little bit of a retake situation with the way the numbers are flexing around on the defensive side. So this is helping Leviathan get to successful post-plant scenarios because they're able to set up, and we're not seeing them try to overscale into the site. They're holding. The Seekers is perfect for that situation. They have a lot of the answers required here. And doesn't seem like much is stopping them other than if Leaf can get that updraft, right? If they can get one of these big plays. Cloud9 will be back onto one of their full buys here. That was, again, a low round. And now 4 chances to close out Haven before we get to Lotus.
Yeah. And Cloud9 have been very strong throughout this series against Leviathan in the gun rounds.
Yeah.
Currently 7-3 overall. But you definitely see that this 3 number from Leviathan, a lot of them has been coming out now towards the attack. So they're really finding their groove. Maybe that double controller rather didn't really help them out on the defense, but you're definitely seeing some good values now on how they're executing the sites, how they're moving around the map. Moving rather slowly too, understanding how C9s currently play on these lower buys. This time around though, a lockdown available. Reckoning as well, which should flood around the A side, but look at C9. 4 players stacked up there with an Odin.
Oh, this should be good. You gotta watch out for who's focusing that right side, or who's focusing where the Odin's gonna be after if they walk right into it.
He's spamming through, allowing Jay to get on the top of the boxes.
The spray.
Gets the wall bang in a second one. That spike to fall. Leaf pushed up from the sewers. Instantly, there's only 1 player left now for Leviathan. It's Shy. Trying to clutch it out. Will not happen. Rudy finally helps C9 seal the deal on the first map. 13-8 on the scoreline.
That's what I said. Which way is this Odin going to be going? You were actually more worried about Jake shooting through the wall because the Odin was a distraction. Yeah, Cloud9 at that point, after losing, what was that, 4, almost 5 rounds in a row, said, no, let's just meet them at the doorstep and stop them. They were giving Leviathan too much space, too much time to get the macro down on the map, to re-hit with this double controller composition, and Leviathan are heating up much faster than they did in their first series against Furia. It took until map 3 versus Furia to see Leviathan open up with 4 straight rounds in that map. They couldn't really string anything together. So here, towards the end of map 1 versus Cloud9, they show life. But C9 already had it in the bag, Van Silly.
Oh, yeah.
What a great first half to be able to just capitalize on the rounds they needed for the second half.
They showed some life, but unfortunately still fell flat on the first map. Hopefully, and also this has been their map pick on Haven. A chance for them, when Pearl has been banned out, to give them a chance in this series. This is still going to be C9 at the advantage, taking the upper hand. As we'll see if Leviathan could fight back. And as we're going to step away, up next we'll have GB and the analyst desk to break down map number 1, and we'll see you on Lotus.
Stop me now. I'm having such a good time.